Welcome all. Very sombering afternoon today with the passing yesterday, December 29th, of the late, great Pele. So I would like to take a moment of silence in honor of arguably the greatest footballer of all time. All right. And on a happier note, Tyler, what are you drinking today?
I'm drinking Mango Cart.
Ooh,
Good beer
nice
I
choice.
found. Light, crisp. Honestly, it's great for summer. And
Yeah.
my wife saw it available, even though it's winter, and couldn't help herself.
I know, right? Like, there's everything you want wishes it was summer.
Yeah.
Right now. It's terrible. Today, I am drinking Stella Artois out of a Stella Artois glass.
Classy.
But those are our brews. Let's get to some banter. Welcome to Brews and Banter.
All
So
right.
today we are going to cover a recap of 2022 and some very bold predictions for 2023. So just to recap, as far as competitions go, we got the Champions League was won by Real Madrid, Europa League by Eintracht Frankfurt, the English Premier League by Manchester City, the FA Cup by Liverpool, Carabao Cup, Manchester City, Serie A, AC Milan, La Liga, Real Madrid. We have the German Bundesliga, Bayern Munich. What a year. Community Shield, Liverpool, World Cup, Argentina, Ballon d'Or, Karim Benzema. Tyler, a lot of moments. What was your favorite?
Lots of moments. My favorite, obviously, as an Arsenal fan, it's going to be them finishing at top of the league here for the new year. That's always good to see. Someone new besides Man City or Liverpool. But I mean, how do you not say the World Cup final? It's tough. I think that has to be. That game was amazing, fun to watch, had the drama, the stories. So for me, it's got to be the World Cup final, Argentina versus France.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I want to say the World Cup final, but there's always a special moment of anticipation for the start of a new English Premier League season. I don't know what it is. It's not the Community Shield. It's that first day with everybody playing on the same day. It's
you never know who's going to win.
Energy.
You don't know. No one has momentum. You don't know who to pick.
Yeah,
who's going to win?
Arsenal's top of the league every year. But I do have to agree with you. That World Cup was fantastic, and I don't think any competition last year would trump it.
No, the Champions League final. I mean, it was a good game. It was Real Madrid, Liverpool, but still didn't quite have the dramatics of the World Cup.
Yeah, I mean that final was amazing. But Arsenal top of the league, end of the year. Who would have thunk it? I certainly didn't. I hope it continues into next year, and we'll find out with our predictions if it's correct. Tyler, what was your team of the year for 2022? Because I know there's a lot of teams that made a lot of improvements.
Yeah, I think for me, it's got to be Real Madrid. The Liga winners, Champions League winners. It's tough not to say them. I mean, they knocked out Man City on their way to the final. Tough team there.
Yeah, never an easy task.
So for me, it's Real Madrid.
Okay. I mean, I know Manchester City won the FIFA Team of the Year. I don't agree that. I agree with you. Like, Real Madrid has to. I mean, they won the Champions League and La Liga, and it wasn't a close La Liga race either.
No, but it is this year.
Very much so. And we will get into that. Goal of the season?
Goal of the season. Probably one that kind of goes under the radar for me as far as what I think the best goal of the season is. I mean, obviously, you had some big-time goals. That Mbappe goal in the World Cup comes to mind as could be a goal this season. That Chavez free kick in the World Cup was definitely a beauty of a free kick. Cristiano Ronaldo had a great goal against Spurs. I don't know if you remember that one. He had a thumper from outside the box that he just blasted into the net.
It's always, goals against Spurs are always on close to the top of my list. So,
I mean, Erling Haaland, that acrobatic one against Borussia Dortmund in the Champions League, that one was pretty crazy. I don't know how he gets his leg up
higher
there.
Than the goalie's hands. It was crazy.
But I think for me, there's a goal. It was scored by Dimitri Payet, and it's a volley that he just roofs from outside the 18. I mean, this thing is flying, and you see it just rise up straight into the goal, and it was just beautiful. And so I think for me, that has to be the goal of the season for 2022.
That was for Marseille against. Yep. I don't know how to say that. Is that PAOK?
Yeah,
how you say that?
Yeah.
I mean, that one was great. It's hard to really beat that. Personally, I would go with either Jordi Alba's volley against Atletico, where it just loops over the goalie, bends towards that far post.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, that Mbappe goal in the World Cup final.
It was such a huge moment.
Yeah. Huge moment. Great strike. For the average human, it's next to impossible to do. For, elite athletes, it's almost impossible to do. And you have him making it look like it's a piece of cake in the biggest stage of them all.
That's Mbappe for you, man. He makes the impossible look easy.
He really does. And, he's one to watch for the future.
He's one to watch now, not for the future. Now,
fair,
be watching Mbappe.
Player of the year, speaking of Mbappe.
Player of the year. Obviously, Karim Benzema won the Ballon d'Or.
That was
so
for
he's voted as the best player.
Though.
I mean, it's hard to argue not Messi after this World Cup. It's hard to argue not Mbappe after this World Cup. As you mentioned last time, how many goals did Mbappe have in this World Cup? 8 goals?
Yes.
Something like that. I mean, that's ridiculous.
I mean, Messi had 7, so it's close.
And then Messi also, I mean, he got a goal in the round of 16, the quarterfinal, semifinal, final. I mean, those are big-time games, and he's scoring goals.
A big-time player.
I mean, how do you not look at Erling Haaland, the beast, man? Just putting goals in for fun. It's crazy to see what he's going to do in 2023, but...
Yeah, ending the year on 26 goals since August. That's insane.
Yeah, I mean...
Those are near Messi numbers.
He's got more goals than Chelsea right now.
Yeah, in the league, nonetheless.
In the league. So
for me, it's got to be either Lionel Messi. I mean, you could argue for Karim Benzema. I don't think because of the World Cup and him not playing in it, I don't think he is even in the top 10. It's hard because we had the Euros last summer as well. Bukayo Saka tore up that tournament. He's tearing up the Premier League right now. He tore up the end of last season. It's hard not to include him in that conversation as a completely biased opinion.
That's a little biased, yeah.
Yeah, it's completely biased. But an unbiased opinion, you got to go with Lionel Messi. He's won every tournament except for the World Cup that Mbappe has won, but has the World Cup. And arguably, correction on my stats from the first episode, he has 23 goals and 20 assists, not over 30 of both. But that's just this season. So since August.
Well, just to be different from you, because I don't want to say Lionel Messi and us agree with one another, I'll say Erling Haaland.
I mean, it's a
I'll
great
say
choice.
He's been the best player 2022. I mean, hard not to argue. Look at the goals he's scoring, man.
Mm-hmm. Dortmund and City.
I think he might be the reason why City could win the not the Premier League, but the Champions League.
I mean, he could be for both, but let's hope not for both.
Not for both, just for one of those.
All right, next we got who will win the Ballon d'Or, which I guess is the same conversation, isn't it?
It is, but I think that one will be more biased towards Messi since he did win the World Cup.
It always is more biased towards Messi or Ronaldo.
You definitely know whoever wins the World Cup that year, someone on that team is going to win the Ballon d'Or.
Just look at Fabio Cannavaro, 2006. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he came out of nowhere, no club level.
No, he was playing for Real Madrid, I believe, at the time. So I mean, he's playing for a big time club.
Yeah, but there was no conversations about him being in the mix before the World Cup. After, yes. And to me, it was a surprise.
It was a surprise, especially the year Thierry Henry had.
Mm-hmm.
But again, man, they love World Cup winners when they're voting for that trophy.
Yeah, and that's why Messi, for me, it's not even going to be a competition. I want to say somebody else, but because he won the World Cup and he's Messi, I think he wins a record. Is it 7th Ballon d'Or?
I was going to say like 9 or something.
Yeah, it's a ridiculous amount. But that also equals him with Dani Alves for trophies.
Yeah, I mean, again, at this point out, doesn't really matter what I think. I think he'll win. He will win it. Just based off the Argentina game. Argentina running this World Cup and the games he played.
I agree. Who will win goalkeeper of the year?
That's a tough one because I mean, you obviously want to say Emiliano Martinez for Argentina, the heroics in the shootout for the final and in the quarterfinal against Netherlands. Livakovic had a great World Cup tournament.
Yeah.
You look in the Premier League, you know, at Alisson and Ederson, Donnarumma for PSG, Thibaut Courtois for Real Madrid, all great keepers. But again, a lot of these awards, man, I think they go off the World Cup, not necessarily the club play. And so again, I think it might be another Argentinian and Emiliano Martinez.
Okay. I think because of the year Real Madrid had last year and Courtois being the defending Yashin Trophy winner, for those of you, that's for the best goalkeeper. I think he's going to win it again, personally.
He might. I mean, a Champions League winner, La Liga winner.
Mostly because of those two trophies. And they seem to be a little biased towards La Liga in the voting. So, what about the Copa Trophy? Last year, the best under-23 player was Pedri, right?
I think so.
Who wins it this year? And I personally don't think there's going to be much of a competition.
Yeah. Who do you have winning it then?
Erling Haaland. It's easy. I want Bukayo Saka to win it. Pedri might have a case, but Erling Haaland, with the year he's having, I think he wins it because he doesn't win the Ballon d'Or.
Yeah, it could be Erling Haaland, could be Jude Bellingham.
Musiala?
I would love for Saka to be in that mix, Martinelli, but...
What about Musiala?
Musiala, yeah. Yeah, I think Gavi or Pedri, I mean, they're just amazing midfielders there for Barca.
Yeah, I mean, Gavi's still got 6 years in the chase for that trophy. So
that's crazy. Can you imagine being that age and playing for your national team?
And being that good? No. I will never be that good in my life, and he's only 17. So, okay. We did Puskas Award. We did Best Goalie, under 23. Let's get into next year. Shall we?
Next year, 2023.
2023. It's looking like it's going to be an epic year. Hard to beat 2022 with that World Cup. I just think with all of the teams currently in the lead of all the different leagues, it's going to be some surprises this year.
Definitely could be. Obviously, starting in the Premier League. I mean, not many people picked Arsenal to be top of the table. Still, some of them have their doubters. Maybe one of them reluctantly, but that Man City team, it's hard not to.
It's so hard. They're so good.
Yeah, they're very good. I mean, then they went and got arguably the best striker they've ever had. I mean,
yeah.
Pep's like, I don't know, you will never play Sergio Aguero. I think they did.
Yeah, I mean, he said openly, I don't think we can ever replace Aguero. And I'm pretty sure Haaland's going to pass every record that Aguero's set for Man City in probably half the amount of time.
If he keeps going like he's going, yeah, that's for sure.
It doesn't look like it. He just keeps getting better and better.
So, yeah, in the Premier League, you have Arsenal at the top. That could be a great storyline.
Yeah.
Barca, they're top of La Liga right now, but then they're playing in the Europa League. So it's kind of a what will happen to them? Can Madrid catch them, or
Yeah. You
will
got
they stay top of
Napoli.
the table?
Top
Napoli,
of
look at them, man. Go
Serie A.
Napoli.
No one predicted that at the beginning of the season either. So we got a lot of upsets coming. I know, France is close between PSG and a lot of other teams. Bundesliga is close.
Yeah, if Freiburg up there in second place. Yeah. Obviously, we know who's in first, but
I mean, you still got Dortmund there. You got Leipzig there. There's a lot of really good teams. Mönchengladbach's
I don't know, Dortmund.
there.
They're a few points off. I don't know if they'll catch
like
them.
Liverpool in the Premier League, man. Anything can happen.
That's true. That's true.
So, I guess the biggest question here amongst every fan in the world, not just us, can Arsenal keep it going? Can they win the Premier League?
I don't know. I hope so. I'm going to say yes if they can continue playing like they're playing. The injuries are kind to them. I think if they lose a Thomas Partey, that could hurt. But you have El Neni as backup, who I think is a decent backup there. We'll see who they get in the transfer window here in January. Lots of rumors with João Felix and Mihailo Mudryk.
Yeah.
I think they definitely need to make at least a couple signings.
Yeah, and they got Emil Smith-Rowe coming back, who will be
Smith-Rowe
like a new signing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he was their leading scorer last year, so
I think they definitely need some reinforcements to give them some depth, like Man City has. I mean, you look at that Man City team; they just an overabundance of world-class players there.
Team. Yeah, I agree.
So I mean, you have to have something like that to win the league with how long the campaign is. This is something obviously Arsenal want to be challenging for years to come. Next season they could be battling. You're battling on four fronts. You have the FA Cup, League, Carabao Cup, either Europa League, Champions League. So they definitely need some depth, and I think they should do that this January. Look for players for the future, not necessarily right now.
Yeah, and with Edu, I mean they aren't panic buying, which is a great sign. However, they need to find the right player and fast, especially with the World Cup just happening and a lot of players being in the showcase.
Yeah, well, that's the good news about, Mihailo Mudryk is he didn't play in the World Cup, but he also hasn't played since November, so there could be some match fitness things there.
Yeah.
And they have been aggressive going after him. We'll see, though. You never know in the transfer market. Shakhtar Donetsk, where Mihailo Mudryk plays his football, they're asking for a lot of money. Whether Arsenal will be willing to pay that amount, so it's a question.
Yeah, I mean the latest bid was $65 million. Shakhtar rates him at 100. Can they close the gap? I don't know.
See, and I don't think they should make him. They should break their record for him. I think that's going to put too much pressure on him as a young player. I mean, look what it did for Pepe. So
Anthony, Jadon Sancho. I can go on, but
yeah,
most of them are for United. So.
And then João Felix looking like he might leave Atletico for somewhere in the Prem, maybe a Man United, Chelsea,
Arsenal
also mentioned.
Linked. Yeah, it's hard for me, especially the Arsenal topic, because with Gabriel Jesus out, they say end of February, but with a knee surgery like that, you're talking he comes back from the surgery into training. Still has a month of training. You're talking the end of March, which is 3/4 of the season. Like, it's huge. Can Eddie Nketiah keep that up for that long?
I think regardless, Arsenal have to reinforce that forward position.
I agree. They got to get
they're
something.
Playing with one out-and-out striker and Eddie Nketiah.
Yeah.
I think Chelsea also really should go for João Felix. They've been struggling up front for goals.
Yeah, and they're not afraid to pay whatever fee that Atletico wants. So
I think right now they're asking an $8 million fee, and then after wages, you're probably looking at $13 million for a 6-month loan.
Yeah, it's a lot of money for just a 6-month loan, but
Yep.
If it gets you, in Chelsea's case, into the Champions League, that's a lot of money. He gets paid back immediately. In Arsenal's case, it could be the difference between second place and top of the league, which is hundreds of millions of pounds.
Yeah, and then even you look at Man United, who are linked with them. They just lost Ronaldo,
Mm-hmm.
so they're definitely in the market for a striker as well. The good news for them is they have Marcus Rashford firing now.
Yeah. But Ronaldo, speaking of Ronaldo, he just got announced today for Al Nassr, 2-year contract. We'll see what that does. It's 5 years of marketing, which is pretty cool. So they own the rights for him for the next 5 years.
Well, he'll collect a nice paycheck going there.
Oh yeah, that's Ronaldo's, especially it's where he earns most of his money. But
I don't know I would say for me personally, it's a little sad to see him go to Saudi Arabia. Would have thought he maybe go back to Portugal.
Now? Like he's
come to the MLS.
Yeah. At the end of his career, most people would have thought he would have come to the MLS, but in 2 years, probably. We'll see. Speaking of Ronaldo, is Manchester United better off without Ronaldo?
We'll see. I mean, it's tough to say. I think probably yes. He hasn't been playing much anyway. Like I said, the way Rashford's been playing the past few games, the way he performed in that World Cup, he's firing, man. He's ready to go.
Yeah. I mean, I have to agree, just because of the toxic personality that Ronaldo is, that dressing room, I mean, watching them this weekend, they look so much better. With Bruno taking a leadership role there, they look so much better. And with Garnacho coming through the youth ranks, tearing it up, funny part is I don't even know if Anthony and Jadon Sancho even get a look in now.
I think they will, but it's tough. I don't think it's tough to say. I know they will. I know Anthony will probably get some look-ins. Sancho, he definitely needs to step up his game to get into that Man United squad. Which is so weird, man. He looked at him at Dortmund, and you're like, oh, man, he's going to make Man United so much better.
Yeah.
I mean, he's had moments of brilliance, but it's that consistency.
Yeah, I mean, if you are Manchester United, do you send him back to Dortmund on loan for the rest of the season? Just to get that form back?
I don't think you do, no.
I guess the other question would be, would Dortmund even take him at this point? But that's for another day. Other burning question, with the disappointment of the form of Liverpool this season, will they get back to their best?
Yes.
Why?
Yes, they will. I think Jurgen Klopp, he had that little break there for the World Cup to kind of work with the squad he had there. Still had quite a few players there. I mean, you saw Andrew Robinson breaking the record for assists by a defender. They just got Cody Gakpo, so they'll be getting him into the lineup here, I'm guessing, in the next month or so. I think Darwin Nunez will start firing. He's been a little lackluster at the beginning of this season, but I mean, I told you I would love to have him at Arsenal. I think he's a great player.
I agree.
We know how that first year in the Premier League goes for some of these players. Usually takes a little time to adapt. And he's getting chances is the thing. He's just not finishing them. And so he's getting into position to put the ball in the goal, but he's just not doing it. And so I think once he starts doing it, you'll start seeing his numbers really start to go up. And obviously I think he'll help Liverpool get some wins.
Yeah, and I mean, Liverpool has quality all over the pitch. However, they do have a defense that's not in form. They're very vulnerable on the counterattack, no matter if you have Cody Gakpo or not. Their midfield, old, not very good right now. I mean, today, they didn't look very good.
The midfield's good. I mean, with Thiago in there and Henderson.
Fabinho. Yeah, I mean, Fabinho as well. Most people forget about him just because he's always there. I think, yes, they will, but they do need to sign a midfielder in the transfer window. That is
who do you think they should sign?
Personally, my prediction for that is later in this show, but they do need a high-profile midfielder.
No, I think
probably
I know the midfielder you're thinking of now.
They can get fairly inexpensive because they just spent money on Gakpo. Rumor has it they don't have a lot of money to spend. So maybe an older midfielder on loan. Maybe try for Adrian Rabiot from Juventus. You get him on the cheap. He's still only 27. He's world-class in the opinions of the French national team. Personally, I don't think he is, but he would fill that void He's a hard fighting midfielder. He's got that good final ball. He might fit into Jurgen Klopp's system. We'll see.
Yeah, you kind of touched on it. It's the defense. That the defense not quite playing as well as they have in the past.
Yeah, and I mean, they have the depth there. They're just not in form. I don't know what's happening. Virgil van Dijk, still one of the best defenders in the world. Joel Matip, Joe Gomez,
You got Andrew
Ibrahima
Robertson on the
Conte.
left, Trent on the right.
Yeah. If Alexander-Arnold decides he wants to play defense, I think they're 100 times better. But at the same time, you need him on attack because they haven't been able to score enough goals. So we'll see. Next burning question, which I guess will ultimately decide if Arsenal win the Premier League or not, but can anybody stop Manchester City?
Yeah, I mean, Real Madrid did last year in the Champions League.
Yeah, but we're talking about Real Madrid. That's a different topic altogether.
It is. I mean, Real Madrid are a top team. But I mean, the Premier League's filled with top teams besides Man City. I mean, Arsenal are showing they're a top-notch team. Liverpool have been up there. Chelsea. They're all good teams. And in the Premier League, anyone can be anyone any given day.
I mean, we'll see. Brentford showed the blueprint on how to beat them with a dangerous counter, long balls forward. Arsenal still hasn't played them. So the first game that they play.
Just even going off the game last year, though, at the Emirates between Man City and Arsenal. I mean, Arsenal were winning.
Yeah.
Xhaka gets a red card.
Typical Arsenal fashion.
And then they lose in the last minutes from a beautiful
Flute
strike
goal.
from Rodri.
Flute goal.
So, I mean, they had him at the Emirates.
Yes.
Whether they can do that again, that's a big question. But, I mean, the way this Arsenal team's playing, they're firing.
Yeah. I mean, they look very good, very dangerous, silky smooth on the ball. Watching them against West Ham, I don't know if there's anyone like they just have that press that just looks unbeatable.
It's similar to Man City's.
It is exactly like Manchester City. Yeah, with a little bit of Wenger ball mixed in. However, how they match up against each other, how does Arsenal respond not having the ball most of the time? I guess only time will tell. We'll see in February.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. And I mean, obviously everyone's going to say Man City probably has the edge, including me. They're a great team. I mean, again, Haaland, man, you hope he doesn't play that game, but if he does, he's always a threat.
Always. Me personally, unless Erling Haaland gets injured for at least a couple of weeks, I don't think anything stops this Manchester City squad, especially the way the rest of the Premier League has played this year. The only team that's playing up to standards or above it is Arsenal.
There's another team in there.
And Newcastle, yes, but City played them. I guess they did draw, but that was
do you know what team has the best defense in the league right now? Least goals against?
It's Newcastle, yes.
It's Newcastle.
Yeah. So, speaking of, I guess, going back to Cody Gakpo, transfer that have been announced, will they make an impact? So we'll start with Cody Gakpo. Will he make an instant impact at Liverpool?
That's a tough one because you never know with those young players coming from a different league. I want to say yes, but I think my gut's kind of telling me no. We'll see. Jurgen Klopp's a great coach. Maybe he does get the best out of him. I don't know where you play him with Salah, Diaz, Darwin Nunez. For me, Diaz has been playing great. He's definitely a threat.
He is hurt fairly often.
He is, yeah.
But you also got Diogo Jota right there, and he's arguably Liverpool's best player this season.
Well, I think he's coming off an injury as well.
Yeah.
I know he wasn't at the World Cup due to injury, so we'll see how long it is before he comes back.
I personally, I don't think Cody Gakpo will make an immediate impression. I think because of the physical nature of the Premier League, how he's not used to it, notoriously players coming from the Dutch league don't transition very well. I think it takes him till the end of the season to really get integrated with the squad. And I don't think maybe he scores 5 goals, maybe 10, if he's playing in, say, the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup, those sort of games.
think you said it right there. It's how long does it take for him to get integrated into the squad, to get settled? If that happens quick, then yeah, he's going to make a big impact. If it doesn't, like you said, it could drag on till maybe spring,
March,
maybe
April.
Yeah,
Season's almost over by then. So will he be? I mean, in the Champions League, I think he probably will, just because it's less physical, less physically demanding.
But then again, if he's performing in the Champions League and Liverpool win the Champions League, then yeah, he had an impact.
That's fair. That seems to be the only place that they're performing right now. So time will tell. January right around the corner. Do any transfers get announced right before the end of the year? I mean, we got a day and a half.
So no, I mean, you got Ronaldo today.
Yeah.
That's a big news transfer. That's Cristiano Ronaldo. He just got signed with Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, I mean, he's a big name player. He's gonna make that club millions of dollars, pounds, whatever currency you want to say. He draws a crowd. However, you have the skill level of that league isn't really that far up there.
No, you've seen a couple high profile names go to that league.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's not the best, I don't think. Obviously, it's not near to the level of the Premier League at Man United where he was playing. But like you said, he's not getting any younger. I definitely do think Messi winning this World Cup was a little bit of an ego hit for him. I mean, you can kind of see it in his attitude at the end of right before the World Cup at Man United. He walked off early on that Spurs game, refused to come on as a substitute. So
walked off for Portugal as well.
Yeah.
Then got benched. But going with that same topic, transitioning into next year, let's get into our big transfer predictions for January.
I can't think of too many. I had one that was Ronaldo going to Saudi Arabia, but that just got announced today. So I think the big one we touched on earlier, João Felix will leave Atletico for the Premier League. Now, which team he goes to, I don't know. Is it Arsenal, Man United, Chelsea? I think a part of me thinks Chelsea.
Okay.
I think they'll splash the cash for him.
Do you think they're going to splash the cash for both him and Enzo Fernandez?
There's talks about that. Yeah, Enzo Fernandez. They're I think willing to. Was it 120 million? 100 million?
120 million.
It's ridiculous money. So I was right when I said the most on our previous show. Player with the highest transfer value increase.
Yep.
I'm curious to see how Enzo does if Chelsea do get him in the Premier League. I think that will be an interesting one because they got Jorginho and N'Golo Kante, Kovacic there in the midfield.
Mm-hmm. Loftus-Cheek as well.
Loftus-Cheek, yeah.
Mason Mount. How do they all fit in? Does Graham Potter even get the best out of him or know how to use him? Chelsea are notorious for spending a lot of money and not knowing how to use a player, so we'll see. I have a lot of very
Mo Salah
bold
and Kevin De Bruyne come to mind.
Huh?
A couple players like Mo Salah and Kevin De Bruyne come to mind.
Yeah. But even Romelu Lukaku as well. I have a lot of very bold predictions. Do you want to hear them?
No, I do. Let's hear them.
Where do you want me to start? I'm going to go with Mykhailo Mudryk becomes too expensive for Arsenal. They sign João Felix on loan.
Okay.
Next, Man United struggling with cash, sign Marcus Thuram for $10 million.
Okay.
He's only got 6 months left on his contract at Borussia Mönchengladbach. And then because Arsenal can't afford Mykhailo Mudryk, Newcastle buys him. Next, Arsenal buys Yuri Tielemans for $15 million.
I think they wait till summer.
I think they pay now because they need another midfielder. That bad.
I don't think they do.
That's where we disagree. There's not a lot of depth there. Do you trust Ambi Lokonga? I don't trust him. El Nini, I do trust him, but not for the big games.
Yeah, but you have Lokonga, El Nini, Smith Rowe, Vieira, Odegaard, all in those midfield roles. I think they got enough there.
Okay.
Do I think they go for Tielemans eventually in the summer? Like I said, yes. I think he would be a great backup for Xhaka or even Thomas Partey.
Mm-hmm. But we do agree.
I think they wait till he's on the free.
It is inevitable at this point. Whether it be
you can tell by
January
Tielemans' performances here for Leicester that he's not happy there.
Yeah, well, it's the whole Leicester squad at this point. Sergio Ramos reunites with Cristiano Ronaldo at Al Nassr. That is the new rumor out today.
Okay.
Manchester United buys Vlahovic or Goncalo Ramos as their new striker.
Wouldn't that be a slap in the face for Ronaldo? They buy Ramos.
Yeah, a huge slap in the face. Chelsea goes in for a Brighton midfielder, whether it be McAllister or Caicedo. 80 million.
I heard Caicedo, yeah, he might be leaving Brighton.
Yeah. Liverpool announced Jude Bellingham with a twist, not till the summer.
I hope not.
Barcelona struggle to offload players, announced 4 players on a free. And those are my transfer predictions.
So I'll give you one of my transfer predictions that I hope happens. Again, I give it a 3% chance that it will. Arsenal win the league.
Okay.
They're league champions. Going into the Champions League, go all out on Jude Bellingham.
Now. Okay.
At the not in January, but in the summer.
In the summer. Okay.
That's my hope. Whether that will happen, probably not. You're right. I'm guessing it might go to Real Madrid or Liverpool, but
rumor out
that's
today,
what Arsenal should do. So
rumor out today, Madrid want to sign him, and they're willing to pay extra for him now. They don't need him, but they want him. All right. The big time bold predictions. Let's get into it. EPL, who you got?
Of course, you know who I got. Arsenal.
Get it over with now.
Arsenal.
All right. Being the superstitious Arsenal fan that I am, I'm going with Manchester City. In prayers that me not jinxing Arsenal, I get it wrong. Bundesliga.
It's hard not to say Bayern Munich.
It's impossible. There's no way you could convince
me. You hope Freiburg put them at least, give them a title challenge, but
it's Freiburg out of nowhere. Yeah. I just don't think they have it. La Liga.
I'm gonna go with Barcelona.
Okay.
They're top of the league right now, and I think they might maintain it since they're out of the Champions League. I think they'll focus more on La Liga.
Okay. I don't think Barcelona has enough squad cohesion to go that far. They just seem like the end of the fuse is right there, and they're going to explode any moment. So I went with Real Madrid.
Okay, yeah.
Serie A.
I'm going to stick by Napoli.
Yeah? I am too, after watching them play Liverpool in the Champions League and absolutely blowing them out of the water. They keep that up. Serie A is not very deep. AC Milan's having struggles this year. Inter Milan looks garbage. And Juventus, well, they don't have a board. And probably half their squad by the end of the January transfer window. So Napoli, in my opinion, runs away with it.
Good for them.
Okay. The big one, who wins the UEFA Champions League?
Manchester City get the first title in the UEFA Champions League. Thanks to that Norwegian Viking, Erling Haaland.
See, I don't think so. I think Pep is stumped. Manchester City are cocky, and I'm going with the momentum of Mbappe and Messi. PSG get their first Champions League title with those guys. Mbappe gets his first Champions League title and uses that momentum to absolutely destroy every single team next season.
Goal machine, man, the robot. Yeah. You don't go against him.
Yeah, well, I'm going with Mbappe, the other robot.
So you're going with Haaland in the Man City in the Premier League, but not the Champions League, huh?
Yeah. I think they put all their eggs in the Champions League basket, and they crack and fall. So they focus on Premier League, Arsenal's injury woes, catch up with them. Manchester City win the Premier League. How about the Europa League?
That's a tough one. There's a lot of good teams in the Europa League this year.
I know. Barcelona, Juventus, Manchester United, Freiburg, Sevilla, who notoriously do very well in this competition, and Arsenal, unfortunately.
So part of me wants to say Arsenal.
Okay.
Again, the way they're playing, if they can keep it going, I think they do win the Europa League.
Mm-hmm.
If things start getting a little closer in the Premier League, I think they might focus less on the Europa League, more on the Prem. And so if it's not Arsenal, I'm going to have to say Barcelona.
Okay. Do you think they're going to beat Manchester United then?
They should.
Yeah. I went with Arsenal.
Imagine
my next up wasn't any of the teams we talked about. I picked Sevilla as my next one. They are so good in the competition. They always do well. And somehow, against all odds, generally end up in the semifinals or finals.
That they do.
Yeah. Okay. Back to the English Premier League. Top 4, end of the season. Obviously, you have Arsenal first.
So my top 4, I'm going to go with Arsenal.
Yeah.
Second, Man City.
Okay.
Third, Liverpool.
Okay.
And fourth, Newcastle.
Okay. Why did you think that Liverpool would make a, 15-point swing to pass?
No, they're only 5 points off.
Okay.
Tottenham.
5. Off Tottenham, but they have to get all the way into third.
I think they will.
Okay.
I think Jurgen Klopp, like I said, he's had this time during the World Cup to work with those players. I think they do it.
I think that defense is going to be the Achilles heel that breaks them. I don't think they even qualify for the Champions League this year. I picked City first, as I said earlier, Arsenal second, Newcastle stays in third place, surprise of the season, right behind Arsenal. And then, as a bigger surprise, I picked Manchester United as number 4.
Okay, why Man United over Chelsea or Tottenham?
Yeah, highlighting a 5-way run for those last 2 Champions League spots.
It's going to be close. I mean, it might come down to the last day, honestly, for those last 2 spots.
Did last year. We'll see.
And you got Newcastle, Tottenham, Man United, Chelsea, Liverpool, all kind of vying for that spot.
Yeah, Brighton's not far behind either.
No, Brighton's
been disrupting all sorts of teams. All right, well, let's go to the other end of the table. Who gets relegated?
Oh, this one's a tough one too, man. There's a lot of teams fighting down there.
Uh-huh.
I think for sure Southampton is going down. Nottingham Forest, I think, is also going down.
Okay.
And then I'm going to go Everton goes down.
Frank Lampard gets Everton relegated. Interesting.
I'm going to go with them. I was debating between Everton or Wolves.
Okay.
But I'm gonna take a bold prediction and go Everton.
Okay. I think Wolves have too much quality to be anywhere near the bottom by the time they're done. I went a little less bold and a little more bold. I said Southampton gets out of the bottom.
Okay.
Bournemouth, Forest, and Leicester after the fire sale they have in January of all their best players. Leicester City goes back down. Arguably one of the worst and furthest falls from grace in a long time.
No, I don't think Leicester will go down. I don't think Bournemouth either, man. Bournemouth has been playing too well.
Prediction is my prediction, not yours.
And your predictions aren't very good.
You have an opinion, but it's wrong. All right, fine. Storylines to watch. Obviously, Arsenal. They're running top of the league, 5 points clear. It's looking promising. I don't want to talk about it, but let's talk about it.
I mean, it's a huge storyline. No one expected him to be there.
No one.
Everyone thought it'd be
almost
Man City,
nobody
Liverpool.
picked them to even finish 4th this season.
Yeah. So, I mean, credit to Arteta, what he's done there.
Yeah. It's absolutely... I have to give him so much credit. Just watching... Well, one, the Amazon documentary was fantastic just to see the intricate ins and outs of the way he coaches.
He swears at them so much, too.
I love it. It's so good. Can't do that to kids these days either. So it's good to see him doing it. However, for me, it's the little intricacies in the way that he makes players move their bodies, position themselves, the body language, every little intricate tactic is huge. And that's why all of his players say he's a tactical mastermind and why Pep Guardiola is scared of him.
I mean, you just have to look at one player to see what a genius Arteta is, and that's Granit Xhaka, man.
Yeah.
I have been probably one of his biggest critics over the past few years.
Yes, you have.
And I love it when players prove me wrong, and this year he has proven me wrong. And I think that's when it's credit to Xhaka for implementing what Arteta is telling him.
Yeah. And credit to Arteta also for putting him in the position he plays for Switzerland. Made a huge difference.
So one of my bold predictions, as I already mentioned, is Everton getting relegated.
Yeah.
I don't think they should be getting relegated when you look at the quality on that team.
No, there's no way in hell.
But just it's kind of been going now started last year.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't playing very well, and it's continued into this year. And I think it's going to catch up to them. It's such a competitive league, the Premier League, and it's like I said, I mentioned Wolves, but I also thought they had the quality on the field where I don't think they'll go down, and I think they just have a little bit better quality than Everton, which is why I think Everton goes down.
Yeah, I mean, arguably everybody from like 12th down looks terrible. So,
there's a lot of teams
season.
kind of within that couple points there of that relegation zone. You got Bournemouth, Leeds, West Ham, all kind of hovering in that.
Yeah. Okay.
But another one, Newcastle to the Champions League. How great would that
huge.
be?
Arsenal and Newcastle back in the Champions League. Newcastle, it's been, at least 20 years?
It's been a long time. I mean, obviously, some money helps. Getting back, buying some good players.
Arguably, they didn't buy any superstar names besides Alexander Isak, and he hasn't even played.
He hasn't played very much, no. But, I mean, they kind of snuck Bruno Guimaraes.
Yep. He's been a stud.
They got Nick Pope.
Sven
They swapped
Botman.
him up. Eddie Howe has been doing a great job there.
Stud. Yeah.
They're playing how he wants them to play.
Yeah. Mine was Brighton gets into the Europa League. Very bold, but it's just
the way they're playing
around that team.
I mean, it's hard not to say no. Yeah, they're playing great.
I guess the question then is, right?
Can they keep their players? Is the big question.
Yeah, if they can keep their players in January, and then you have so many good teams around them, who misses out on the Europa League?
Well, I mean, also, you look at their recruitment. Some of the players that they've bought and sold. I mean, you look at Ben White to Arsenal, Cucurella to Chelsea. I'm guessing Trossard will leave here soon for a good penny.
Yeah, McAllister. Yeah.
Caicedo. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, their recruitment's done well. And they've made a lot of money off selling their players.
Oh, it's made huge waves, too, in the amount of players they can pick up. So, speaking of Caicedo, let's go into our players to watch that aren't named Mbappe or Messi for the rest of the season that most people haven't really heard of.
All right. So actually, I went with most people have probably heard of him, but Anthony Gordon for Everton. I think he's been their one bright spot.
And you still think he's going to get relegated?
I do think he's going to get relegated, which is good because he'll move to a better team. But
okay,
he's been a bright spark for Everton. You look when they don't have him on the field, they aren't a threat on the attack. Arguably, probably their best player.
Mm-hmm. Give me your so you get Anthony Gordon. Give me your top 5.
So I got Anthony Gordon.
Yeah.
And then a left back for Wolves. I'm going to butcher his name. It's Ryan Ait-Nouri. Nouri, I think is what it is.
Yeah, you got it right.
Just been watching him play on that left back position. He's kind of more like a wing back. He likes to get up there, you can tell. And he's impressed me.
Okay.
He likes to take defenders on and can get around those defenders. He's quick. So I think he's one to watch as well. Another one I would say would be Michael Olise from Crystal Palace.
Yeah, he's been tearing it up.
And Abrici Eze for Crystal Palace.
Okay.
They're pretty young players. Olise at 21, Eze at 24. And they've been fun to watch for Crystal Palace as well.
Yeah.
And then maybe one that...
The big question is, though, do they keep hold of their star player?
It's a big question. At Crystal Palace, yeah, I think they will, probably for another year or so. Maybe Eze leaves, but I don't think Olise will. He's still young. I think you want him getting a lot of the game time that he's getting. at Crystal Palace versus going, to a bigger team, sitting on the bench or not quite getting the minutes that he should be getting.
Okay. And then
you had
one
the
more.
Other player, people know him now, obviously at the beginning of this season, but you and I probably remember him from his days in the MLS, tearing it up for Atlanta United. Yeah. Mr. Miguel Almiron.
Yeah.
Has been a stud for Newcastle this year.
They're proving Jack Grealish wrong. He's acting like 10 times the player Jack Grealish wishes he could play like him now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, those are some good predictions. Almiron, he's what is he, third in goals scored? Second, maybe?
I think he might be. I think he's in third, yeah.
Yeah. But for a winger that came out of nowhere last season, that's damn good. My top 5, for those of you who don't watch Premier League regularly, Moises Caicedo, man, is he a short little bowling ball that just takes the ball away from players. 19 years old for Brighton Hove Albion. He surprises me with some of the things he does. Next, Alejandro Garnacho, 18-year-old Manchester United, coming through their youth ranks. I also had Almiron. Gabriel Martinelli, I have to say it. I can't not
He's
say
been
it.
On the scene, man. He's not an up and coming.
But for most people
have heard of him now.
Only watch the World Cup, you got one game and they lost. You watched him. And then for my last one, I went outside of the Premier League for someone who did shine for Portugal, Rafael Leao. Man is the next up-and-coming hot striker that is just going to set the world ablaze and be overshadowed by Erling Haaland.
Talks about him leaving AC Milan as well.
Yeah, and we'll get into that next. Good transition there, Tyler. Let's go with bold transfer predictions for the summer.
I think I already mentioned one. Bellingham to Arsenal.
Bellingham to Arsenal.
I think Mbappe will leave PSG for Madrid.
After the debacle last summer, huh?
I do. I think Madrid will come back for him.
Back for him. How much does he cost?
Over 100.
Over under.
150.
Over under 200.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot.
I'm going over.
And then Rafael Leao, I think he goes to Chelsea.
Chelsea. Okay.
I also
there are
think
rumors that City want to get him and swap him for Jack Grealish. I think if I'm AC Milan, there's no way I'm ever taking that deal. Personally.
No, look at the age difference. Leao's much younger than Grealish.
Yeah.
And then Alexis McAllister leaves Brighton.
2? Or just leaves Brighton?
I think he just leaves Brighton. I don't know if he'll stay in the Premier League. It's tough to say where he goes.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing he leaves Brighton.
Okay. Are you ready for mine?
Let's hear him.
All right. Rafael Leao to Newcastle.
To Newcastle.
They get the Champions League. They have the money. They're attractive enough. They sign Rafael Leao. And then I'm going to go on the way out from Newcastle, Almiron to Madrid.
The Santiago Nunez story, huh?
Yep. Granit Xhaka to Barcelona. They have a history of buying Arsenal midfielders. I think they come in and buy him just because the way he's playing and because he plays for Arsenal.
Well, that's all right. Arsenal's going to get Bellingham to replace him.
Well, I hope you're right. Okay, Chelsea spend £400 million and don't get any better.
We'll see.
I'll be biased. Also, towards Newcastle, Milinkovic-Savic to Newcastle.
Okay.
Him and Bruno Guimaraes tearing it up in the midfield. And then my boldest one yet, Neymar to Chelsea.
Neymar to Chelsea. So you and I, we both agree Chelsea needs someone in the attack to boost them.
I
think it's Neymar and I think it's Leao.
Todd Bowley wants that big name person to get in everything. You're coming off the worst signing of the season in Aubameyang. they're going to get the always hurt in a predictable time Neymar, who is just going to crumple under the physicality of the Premier League, which is why I don't think they get any better.
If they do get Neymar, I do think it'd make them better, but I don't think they'll get Neymar.
Well, we'll see next year. And that's all I got. So
yeah. So that was it for episode 3. Bold predictions. Very bold, I would say.
Yeah, very bold.
Make sure you guys all check us out on YouTube. Brews and Banter FC on TikTok. Brews and Banter FC. Join our Facebook group. Let us know what you guys want to hear. We love to comment and chat about your guys' thoughts. So make sure you let us know. We'd love to hear it.
Yeah, look us up on all your podcast platforms. We'll see you next time here on Brews and Banter.
Cheers.
Cheers.